There were 20 plus work functions, 60 or 70 or sometimes even 100 stakeholders. The two pizza rule never really applies at Grab.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 1, 2, 3 Teamwork. Today, I have in the show with me Dash. So awesome to have you, Dash. Please, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you, Anna, for inviting me to have a chat with you. It's actually been quite a long time since we caught up, and so many things have changed in the world. But good to see you here. In terms of a brief introduction to myself, yeah, my name is Soumyakant Dash, but people just call me Dash. I work with I lead the consumer lending business for Grab Financial Group, which is the fintech arm of Grab. Sounds very cliched, but the mission of Grab Financial Group is actually to provide access to affordable credit for the underserved and the underbanked in Southeast Asia, which we all know is a significant population. And over the last few years, we've actually been doing, I would like to believe, a fairly good job of that. So let's see where that gets us to in the coming years. Prior to Grab, I was a strategy consultant, much like yourself, before you started on this venture. Spent 5 years with Oliver Wyman in Financial Services Consulting. So that's mostly been my life after my MBA at INSEAD with you. But on a sort of a side hustle, I'm an avid equity trader. I love trading in equities. I also like playing poker. You see common theme over here, which is risk versus returns. I think these two skills came in quite handy during the pandemic, while helping me earn a little bit of money while keeping myself busy as well on the side. So yeah, that's about myself.
That's awesome.
And
That's awesome. We can talk about poker and equity trading after this call. I have an interest there too. That's great. Hey, let's get right at it. So, talking about teamwork, what is for
yeah,
you an example of inspiring, memorable teamwork?
I was in consulting, and I guess consulting is so much about projects and teams, right? So I could probably share one of my experiences from there. But actually, on second thoughts, I think I'll talk about something from my current life, which is at Grab, because I think you would have probably heard about a lot of examples from consulting, a lot of interesting examples. So at Grab, I think 2 years back, uh, when I joined Grab, it was my first time I was doing a lot of execution work. In consulting, you do a lot of strategy work, but not often do you get to do a lot of execution work. So at Grab, this was my first execution work, where my boss asked me to launch what is now a very big buzzword in the world, BNPL, buy now pay later. So launch BNPL for Grab in Singapore, starting off with Singapore. So it was daunting because it was the first time I'm executing, and Grab can be a little complex because we were just starting out as a startup within Grab. We were putting the nuts and bolts of infrastructure, and we had to kind of launch BNPL. Um, the crazy thing about the project was I had to actually work with so many work functions at Grab. It was not funny. Like there was data, there was risk, there was product, there was engineering, there was marketing, there was legal, there was PR, there was finance, there was FinOps. I can customer support. I can go on and on. There were 20 plus work functions, 60 or 70 or sometimes even 100 stakeholders. The two pizza rule never really applies at Grab. So you have to work with like big teams.
Hmm.
And the reason I say it's memorable is because when we were building out the product, we did have the luxury of having these meetings which were live in big rooms and having that weekly cadence. But then COVID hit and we had to make that transition to working virtually. So actually making the transition from being in a physical workplace with so many people to not having live meetings and being completely on Zoom calls and to executing something as complex like this at Grab was a challenge. And
Mm.
I think we've done a fairly good job of the product. Like most tech companies, we always start with a sort of an MVP and then make it even better based on customer feedback and actual implementation. So I think that's what we've done. But what really makes it memorable is to actually work with a team that is so massive through the up and downs, through
Right.
COVID. And yeah, it was very uncertain, it was capricious, but now we've seen that COVID has helped the digital economy, and something like BNPL has got a big boost. So it's really gratifying to see the outcome as well. So I would classify that as my most memorable team outcome for all these reasons, actually. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. What a story. So
Yeah.
cool. What a great wow, working in really big teams. Wow, that sounds interesting. Hey, so what is like, aside from like the size of such a team, like what do you find most challenging working together in teams?
Again, I think again I want to talk more about my life at Grab, because that's something which is new and where I have learned a lot. So I think I spent a lot of time at Grab actually getting alignment from people.
Mm,
It's a skill that I've had to sort of develop, and I think most of the people who work along with me also have that. Now, if if alignment takes too long, it can actually become a bottleneck because
mm,
you don't make sort of rapid progress. If alignment takes too little, that means there is something wrong as well, because people are not
mm.
challenging enough in the team. People are not really coming up with different ideas to contest you. So it has to be that balance between when alignment and when getting people on board becomes really balanced, which allows you for a really good outcome. And I think what's important for teamwork is to make sure that when you work with large teams, before you embark on a big project or initiative, you need to get people aligned and on the same page. There are people who will come from different backgrounds who won't know about particular industry that or product that you're trying to launch. There will be people who will have the relevant experience. There will be people who would have preconceived notions. You add their sort of personality to the mix, and then it becomes extremely challenging. So I think what's essential is that before you start on a project, try to get people on the same page. Let everyone have the full context of what you're doing. Have a shared vision, have everyone buy into that vision, and then articulate roles and responsibilities very clearly. If you're able
Right.
to do all this as a good starting point, I think the journey ahead becomes I won't say much, I won't say easier, but but the way it should be, the way it's supposed to be when you're executing projects with so many stakeholders. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, these are all
Yeah.
incredibly important things to get right. Maybe, as our last question, we always ask for like what is your one secret ingredient to successful teamwork? So, what is it for you if you have to pick one thing?
That's a good question. If I had to really condense it into one theme, I would say, as someone who works with or leads team members, I think you need to have good listening skills. You need to be
Mm,
empathetic, and you need to have good listening skills. You need to be empathetic, and you need to essentially give everyone a chance to sort of bring out the best. And by being
mm.
empathetic, by being sensitive, by listening, you're able to sort of do that. I think these are attributes that I have myself embraced over a period of time from the mentors that I've had the privilege of working with and learning from them. There is still a long way to go for me in terms of, I guess, imbibing these qualities in the right way when it comes to execution. But I've realized that being empathetic and actually being a good listener really helps to unleash the creativity within your team, because they feel secure. They feel they can trust you. I guess that
That's
would be
awesome.
the
That's
secret
awesome.
sort of
Well, it
ingredient.
was a
Yeah.
short, very short video, but thanks so much, Dash. This has been really good and great to have you in the show. Thank you.